Today, we're going to review a recent systematic review and meta-analysis titled Time to Form a Habit, where researchers examined the actual time required for healthy habits to take hold. Important information to know if you're planning on forming new habits that help you smash your goals. So, the researchers examined 20 studies involving over 2,600 participants, encompassing various health habits, various health behaviours, including physical activity, water consumption, vitamin intake, flossing, healthy diet, a few others as well I can't remember off the top of my head. But what's the important thing is what they found. They found that health-related habits typically require 2 to 5 months to develop, not 21 days as often preached in the fitness world. There was pretty substantial individual variability ranging from 4 to 335 days. This illustrates the vast differences between individuals. What can take one person just like 4 days to form that habit, piece of cake, can be painful for another, taking almost a year before it becomes habitual. What this means for you is if you're trying to build a healthy habit like going to the gym, walking more, eating better, don't expect it to feel natural right away. It takes time. It takes its sweet time, and chances are it's going to take longer than 21 days before it's a fully formed habit. Before you can do it without having to think about it, without having to schedule it into your diary or rely on willpower, which we know is a finite resource. Why is this important, I hear you ask? Well, if a health habit takes a few months to form, then we need to consider this when it comes to setting goals. Let's take step count, for example. If for the first few months we're relying more on willpower to get those steps in rather than it just being a habit, then it's wise to set realistic targets. If you're currently only hitting 5,000 steps per day, then maybe pushing to the common 10,000 step target. Doubling your steps is probably overly ambitious, and it's just going to demand too much willpower. In this case, we'd want to be a bit more sensible and set a target that will facilitate the results we seek whilst also being sensible and achievable, such as aiming for 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 at most. This will require much less willpower, which means we can do it for long enough to actually form it as a habit without taxing our willpower tank. Quick pro tip. To form a habit, it's good to consider how it can most easily fit into your routine, and if there are any other habits you can piggyback on. For example, I recently incorporated stretching into my daily routine, and rather than just adding it to a random part of the day, going, okay, I'm going to schedule this for 11 a.m. I've gone, how can I easily put it into my day? So I've just added it to my resistance training. When I'm doing resistance training, I also do some stretching. Another example would be, another well-formed habit would be brushing your teeth. We all brush our teeth, and you can easily piggyback another habit onto that, such as taking a vitamin. Or I've even known people to do basic mobility work, balance exercises. Like physios sometimes recommend this. If you've got like a shoulder issue and you need to do your mobility work, but you keep forgetting to do your mobility work because it's just not habitual, then okay, when brushing your teeth, I want you to do this mobility work, and it just helps you form that as a habit. When you brush your teeth, that's the trigger to, okay, I'll now do my mobility work. This strategy can help you really quickly form it as a habit because you've got those cues. Habits can take their sweet time to form, so always remember this when setting goals. You want to set a goal that you can rely on willpower for the first few months before it becomes a fully formed habit. And once it is a fully formed habit, it's worth it. Once it's a habit, it's easy. You don't need to. When it's a habit, you don't need to go, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm on the wagon. I'm off the wagon. It's a habit. You can do it without even thinking about it. It's easy, like brushing your teeth.